Born in Richford, New York on July 8, 1839, John Davidson Rockafeller was the oldest of 6 children and was never afraid of hard work. Rockafeller moved quite a lot as a child, primarily from New York to Cleveland. Rockafeller was not a big fan of school as he dropped out of high school only to attend a single business class at Folsom Mercantile College. It wasn't until the age of 20 years old where Rockafeller left his bookkeeping job for his own commission merchant company in hay, meats, grains, and other goods. By the end of the first year, his business had engrossed a total of $450,000. In that same year, America's first oil well was drilled. Himself, along with several other partners, had an urging sense that there was an exponential profit in the oil business. So he went on to build the largest oil refinery in western Pennsylvania, near the Cleveland area.
By 1865, JD Rockefeller had made enough money to buy out several of his business partners out of the Cleveland oil industry. Throughout the next 5 years, he acquired new partners and expanded his business interests. It wasn't until 1870, JD Rockefeller, along with his younger brother William and few other associates, expanded his Standard Oil company into new economic success of kerosene. Throughout this time, kerosene was making its economic staple within new industries. With this, John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil Trust could combine new refineries and developing companies.
And he got rich by using a method known as horizontal integration. His industry was the oil and kerosene industry. And basically what he did is, instead of buying up oil fields, which was a very chancy investment, you might strike oil, you might not, he bought up refineries. And by using this method of horizontal integration, by acquiring other refinery companies in the United States, he ended up controlling the equivalent of 90% of the oil industry.
Rockefeller's enormous wealth and growth within the oil industry had made him a target within muckraking journalists and reforming writers. Often, Rockefeller was written as a symbol of corporate greed and was criticized for his occasional immoral tactics. This huge attention from writers had brought the attention of the federal government. For example, by 1890, the U.S. Congress passed the Sherman Antitrust Act, the first federal legislation prohibiting trustees in trade. By 1911, the Supreme Court viewed the Standard Oil Company as a violation of the act and was forced to be broken up into 30 different companies.
Rockefeller, as rich as he was equally distinguished as one of the biggest philanthropic contributors within the industrial era. Inspired by his fellow business tyrant, Andrew Carnegie, and his philosophy of the Gospels of Wealth, Rockefeller donated $500 million to various educational and scientific research in an attempt to better society for the future. A natural businessman with strong moral sense and intense religious convictions. Most importantly, Rockefeller funded towards the University of Chicago, most known today as Rockefeller University.
Throughout history, many people have argued that these industrialists like JD Rockefeller were either robber barons, and others believed he was an industrial hero. JD Rockefeller says, "Do you know the only thing that gives me pleasure is to see my dividends coming in?" This quote by JD Rockefeller shows the robber baron side of him. For what people tend to argue is that his ruthlessness is what made him such an industrial powerhouse. Many people believe that he led the future of industrialism for the better. His boldness and tunnel vision was incomparable to any other businessman. Additionally, Rockefeller had the toughness to contend through the harsh, cutthroat, survival of the fittest environment of the 19th century. He went into the oil business when it was on the rise, and with good luck, he started his journey to become one of the most successful businessmen of all time.
And, as John Rockefeller once said, the growth of a large business is merely a survival of the fittest. Thank you.